Today we're going to take a step back from all the esoteric court knowledge and legal jargon and talk about some basics. We're going to get into the phone interview. For many of us, we still need to eat while we educate ourselves, and a job is the reality of a situation. We'll get into wealth building and passive income later, but in the meantime, in between time, we need to have a job or some source of income. So what I did, I found us an expert. He works for a Fortune 500 company, and his specialty is the phone interview. So let's get into the pitfalls and some of the techniques that will help you get to the next step in your interviewing process.
I'm Chris. I work for a Fortune 500 company, and we interview thousands of people. I specialize in telephone interviews. Today we're going to talk about 4 elements of a job interview: preparation, professionalism, comprehension and listening skills, and enthusiasm. Preparation. Now, there's several things that you need for a job interview before you have it. First, you need your resume. Make sure that you have that on hand and you can look back to it whenever possible. Also, make sure that you have a cheat sheet. This is a list of common questions that you would have to answer and your answers for them. And you can just refer back to them throughout the entire interviewing process. Make sure that your cell phone is charged. You don't want the cell phone dying in the middle of an interview and no one can call you back. And if you have a backup phone, make sure that you're actually at the area where the backup phone is. Make sure that you're in a quiet location and that there's no one in the background where you have to yell and scream. Also, make sure that you have a good cell phone signal so you can actually hear each other. It's nothing more annoying than being on a telephone interview and you're going, "What? Can you hear me?" and repeating yourself over and over again. As an interview, it's very annoying. If you don't have all of those things in place and you're not ready, just postpone the interview. Just tell them, "Can you call me back at a different time?" Or just get their number and then call them back at a different time. It's better to do the interview and be prepared for it and postpone it than just trying to do it right then and there and just wing it. Professionalism. Again, make sure that you're in a location where it's very quiet and you can actually hear each other. You don't want to talk to people in the background. Although there are times in a telephone interview where you have to deal with your immediate surroundings, so you may have to address something. If that's the case, just excuse yourself politely and address the issue. And then come back and say, "Sorry for the inconvenience, can we get back?" And just have them repeat the question and proceed from there. Never say anything negative about the job that you're coming from or the job that you're actually going to. I've heard people say all types of things from, "Oh, my boss was a dick," or "they were stealing from the company," or, they were hating on me. All of these things could be true, but we don't need to hear that in a job interview. If you need to, a good fallback answer is always, "I just would like a job that had more pay." Or, "I'm just interested in a position that's full-time, has better hours." It's always a good place. And never say anything to belittle the job that you're trying to apply for. Don't say anything like, "Oh, this is just an easy job. I feel like I can do this in my sleep." I've had people actually say that to me. I know that the job market is extreme and it's intense out there. There are people that have been out of work for months, been out of work for years. Now, you may just need a job that is going to get you from point A to B. I understand that you may not be interviewing for your dream job, but you don't want to exude that in a job interview. If possible, talk about the good things that the job gives you an opportunity to do, rather than focusing on the fact that, "Man, I really just need a job. I'm hungry, man. I got like 4 kids and they need diapers and Jordans." I've had that said to me too. Take the job that I have currently. Now, before I had the job, I had been out of work for like a year or so. And I just needed a job. I needed to get back into the workforce and make some money. Now, they asked me, "Why are you interested in doing call center work?" And I could have said, "Oh, well, I've been in this type of position before. I know it can be a really easy job and, I'm just ready to just sit on my ass and not actually do much work. And I'm kind of lazy like that. And it's an easy check. I could do this in my sleep." I could have said that, and all of those things would have been true. But I chose to say something else. I chose to say, well, I like call center work because I feel like it's convenient and it's also efficient. I like the ability to be able to handle a lot of people in a very short time period. And that's what I like about call centers. And that was a great answer. All the other stuff, totally true, but that's not what I said. If you're going to give a response about how your past work experience relates to your current work experience, make sure that you have an immediate answer. Even if somebody were to say, oh, do you have any type of sales experience? And the only thing you can think of the time that you actually worked in McDonald's and you upsold fries, say that. It doesn't matter how minor it is. Play it up. Say you were the best fry guy ever. They would actually walk up to your counter and be like, yo, I just need a napkin. And you'd be like, you want some fries with that? They come in, just want a napkin, 4 Happy Meals. Bam, that's how you do it. That's how you sell fries, and this is what I'm about. I'm about these fries all day long. Also, if you're gonna say something about your experience and compare it for your past experience to your current experience, make sure that you're confident in your responses. You'd be surprised if you sell yourself in a certain way. Hey man, we'll believe you. So if I ask, for example, do you have any type of, say, customer service experience, just as an example, and you've been a teacher all of your life, use that. Customer service is just dealing with people and their problems. And teaching is just like an extreme version of customer service because you got to deal with people's kids all day long. And I've heard stories of kids actually fighting with each other and biting each other and angry parents coming off and trying to sue the schools. And you had to deal with that particular situation and de-escalate that situation. That's customer service as far as I'm concerned. So just play that up and be confident about your responses. I remember I asked this person, can you tell me about a time that you were in a high pressure situation? I kid you not. The man told the following story. He said he was a SWAT officer, and one day his best friend, who also worked in SWAT, lost his job. His girlfriend, actually his fiance at the time, said she wanted to break up with him. This guy got all the ammunition and guns he could find. He went to the house, took his girlfriend hostage. They had to suit up after they got the 911 call, go to the house, and they had a shootout with his best friend for like 15 minutes. Then he had to infiltrate the building and get everybody out safely. And then he said, does that answer your question? Yeah, that answered my question. You're a shoo-in. So whatever you say, even if it doesn't seem like it's related, as long as you can sell it confidently, you're a shoo-in. Comprehension and listening skills. There are several types of people when it comes to comprehension and listening skills, and they run the extremes. On one end, there are people that talk entirely too much. And then on the other end, there are people that don't say enough at all. These people are types of people where you ask them a particular question and they don't tell you the end of the story. So you might be talking to someone and they will tell you a half story and you're wondering, well, did the situation get resolved? Because that was my question. I asked you, how did you overcome adversity in order to fulfill a job duty? And they'll give you a half response and I'm like, is that it? Did it work? How did it go in the end? And they're like, oh yeah. Actually, I was able to get the files and everybody was okay. We made it to the meeting on time and everything worked out in the end. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, you got people that just talk entirely too much. Those are the people where you ask, are you able to perform this job duty in this atmosphere? And they'll give you a 3-hour response about how qualified they are. I'm just looking for a yes or no answer, man. It's lunchtime. I'm hungry, man. So make sure that you understand the difference between the two basic type of questions. So there are questions that deal with requirements And there are also questions that deal with you showcasing your abilities. Now, the requirements are simple. There are questions like, do you have the ability to work nights, weekends, holidays, something of that nature. We just need you to say yes or no. You don't have to tell us the stories about how you've never been late for work in your life and that you're always so reliable. Just need a yes or no question on that. If anything, if we have a question, we'll just follow up on it. Now, there are also showcasing questions. Those are the questions where you need to shine. Those are the questions where you need to actually talk as much in detail about that particular subject as you can. Again, emphasis on that subject. So again, make sure that you hear the question and that you answer it thoroughly. A general problem that I see with interviewers, or actually people that are doing interviews, is that they've worked in a field so long that they can't actually pick out individual examples of how they were able to overcome adversity, help customers, make a sale. And these are people you actually know can do the job, but whenever they talk about the job, they can only give you kind of a general example of how they normally handle the situation. Now, there's nothing technically wrong with this. If you give an example like that, it can work, but there's a huge difference between giving a very vague example versus giving an example that's like this. Oh, a time where I had to overcome an obstacle in order to perform a task. Okay. So I remember a time where we had a whole system change because we had a merger. And I had to learn this computer program, and we had to learn it, but I wasn't there to get the training at the time. So what happened was I ended up coming to the job on the next day and trying to figure this out on the fly. So what I had to do is I had to talk to a number of different people and get the tutorials and then study those tutorials night after night. And eventually I was able to get that system working and learn that system thoroughly. That's an example that can be used, and it's a great example, and it's not something that's vague over here. Like I said, it works, but it's a world of difference when you compare the two examples. Now, these seem like simple mistakes, but when you accumulate all those mistakes, it turns into a very bad interview, and you don't know how many times I've just hit the button. It's just like, no, I'm not letting you pass any further. This is the wall, and I'm on this side of the wall. You're on this side of the wall. No. Enthusiasm. Last but not least, be enthusiastic about doing the interview. You should be happy that you have an opportunity to give your best and to put your best foot forward and to show them what you can do. Those are a few tips that you can use to make your interviews that much better. Above all things, just relax. Don't take it too seriously, and you should be fine.
Let me add a few things to what Chris has said. When you're in a job interview, understand that you are on equal grounds. The employer needs a good candidate, and you're looking for a good job. So don't assume that you're in an inferior position right away. So when you come into the interview, act like they need you, because you're the best candidate out of all the other thousands of people that they got to go hire. And if they don't hire you, they're making the wrong choice. Don't be arrogant, but that's the attitude that needs to come off slightly. 2, smile. When on the phone, people can hear a smile behind the phone. So fake it till you make it. Even if you don't feel good up, put a mirror up and smile in it as you're talking to someone on the phone. Whatever you have to do, but don't sound all unenthusiastic, as Chris also mentioned. And last, confidence. Confidence will get you 80% of the way through almost anything. And a job interview is no different. So whatever you say it with confidence, and then everything should be good for that interview. So with that, this is Executive Trustee Training on phone interview. Leave your comments below.
Enthusiasm.
Too much enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm.
All right, let's go.
I can't. You want to do that one again?
Yeah.